All right, in this video, we're going to go over some updates on where we are at when it comes to Environment Canada and our approval status on our hybrid trucks.
Incredibly exciting. So we're about to submit just now our very first hybrid application. And what I mean by that is to ECCC, we're actually now going to be applying with a Cummins X-15, which we know is already approved for mechanical trucks. And after some wizardry figuring out how to configure it with our generator.
I want to give a big shout out right there to Conrad and Ray on our team. He managed to figure out how to get the X-15 without changing any of the things in the ECM by just sending the inputs. They were. So the X-15 that we have in the mechanical, we figured out we can program it to run the generator. So Eric, how did we use that?
Well, I mean, it's really neat using torque parameters that are a little bit novel. It's kind of crazy to now think that we can configure it, not only can we control it, and it produces an enormous amount of power, but very efficiently, more efficiently than we predicted. So, you know, after talking with the team for about a month, we sat down, we're ready to approve. The document is ready. It actually includes an air conditioning system too for our novel heat pump design. Big shout out to the team as well.
Yep.
And yeah, look at us, we're ready to go. So this is a big moment for us. After working with the government for the last 6 months, we're applying today for our very first hybrid submission.
Yeah, this is exciting. Jen, you want to do the honors? Jen has been working really hard on the compliance department, so I think she has the honors of doing the submission.
Sure.
The email's all ready to go. You just got to click the type, man.
Great.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Good job.
Nice. Great job. That is it. We have now submitted our first hybrid truck approval to Environment Climate Change Canada. Well, first approval that should get passed, minus when they rejected the Scania, but let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
We got a Cummins.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I think that will be a really neat thing to get passed, and let's hope for the best here.
Yeah. It is the X-15. We wanted to use a smaller 9-liter, but number one, this is going to work great for the heavy haul applications, we think, the ones that need a lot more power, and we've already got it approved for the mechanical. So now that we've got an X-15 approved to use, now we can just be like, oh, we're changing the back end. So it's pretty good. I'm excited. We'll go more into that in a little bit here. After applying and submitting that letter, we had to have another meeting with Environment Canada, which we had in our booth at Expo. So some of the people that were attending our booth got an early display, but basically we went, submitted our application, and got their feedback while at the show. I just had a meeting with Environment Climate Change Canada, and it looks good. Looks like we have our approval on our hybrid using the Cummins X-15. There's a few little minor things that we got to change on that, but they can because it's an on-highway, already on-highway certified. Yeah, there was just some minor technicalities in our application. We'll get that submitted next week, and they said that they will approve our hybrids for using the Cummins X-15. So looks like we can build hybrid trucks now. Just change that one right there. Cummins, there we go. We've now updated our spec sheet at the show. So it has been several weeks since we had that meeting with Environment Climate Change Canada at Expo, but we are now here with a little update.
Pretty huge one. So funny enough, we got comments back from Environment Canada on how to best submit our package for approval. And lo and behold, we actually found an incredible workaround. With their help, we've now identified our hybrid technology as an auxiliary emission control device. Just genius, because now we have approval for this Cummins engine as a hybrid vehicle. What an incredible achievement. It's pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome. I saw the whole document. These guys have been working super hard. We had to describe everything on how our computer system is controlled, how we control the engine, when the engine comes on, what the state of charge, literally all our control parameters. They had a look at it, everything that you did and submitted, and it is now approved. So according to Environment Climate Change Canada, we can now legally sell our hybrid semi-trucks, and we are back at the hybrids.
Pretty awesome, man.
So let's go through it. I'm gonna go through some big changes on that. Obviously, it is a huge difference moving from the Scania DC9 all the way up to the on-road Cummins X-15, but I'm gonna give you some reasons why we made that change, the good and the bad. I want to go over some of the differences between the Cummins X-15 and the previous Scania DC9 that we wanted to use. One of the biggest difference, obviously, is weight. The Scania comes in around 2,150 pounds. This weight dries about 2,950 pounds, which means we have an 800-pound increase with the Cummins on-highway X-15. But that's obviously the biggest drawback. There are some benefits, though. One of them is that we can reduce the amount of batteries. When it comes to batteries, we were having to size for the more extreme use cases. We did a lot of the design around logging, where you're going uphill empty and you're coming downhill loaded and you're recharging those batteries, and we have a lot of space to take all that recharge. But it's also, if you're on a long hill pull and you're depleting the batteries, if you deplete your batteries, you are limited to the electrical output of the generator and how much it can recharge those batteries while you're driving. And the Scania DC9, that's about 350 horsepower, whereas this guy's about 600 horsepower. So with the smaller amount of horsepower, we needed larger batteries to make sure that you could get up the hill while still using and maximizing that battery potential. But now, since we are able to charge a lot higher, we don't run the risk of depleting the batteries as much because we're charging the batteries faster, which means that we can downsize the batteries. So we have gone from 6 batteries with this down to 2 batteries, although those 2 batteries are about 50% larger. The actual use equivalent is going from 6 batteries down to 3 batteries worth of power. So we are saving some weight. It doesn't fully offset the increased weight of the X-15, but it is not quite as bad as the 800 pounds. One of the other advantages of this X-15 is now we can apply the hybrid to the more extreme use cases. So we're looking at logging, downhill empty, uphill loaded, perfect use case. The snowplow running around doesn't have huge power requirements. The undisclosed truck doesn't have huge power requirements, but some of the future customers that wanted to buy our trucks, they sent us over their power requirements, and they basically are 100% load all the way. They are pulling 200-ton gross loads. Yeah, they need some big weight to move 200 tons. Even the Royal hybrid truck, well, they're pulling 10-axle low beds. They need that bigger power. So the X-15, ability to put that 500 kilowatt hour generator on the back end will allow us to take and meet those higher use case loads. Now, one of the other advantages of the Cummins X-15 over the Scania DC9 is the ability to have an engine brake. This thing has a set of Jake heads on it, which means that I can hold back. So now with that generator on the back end, I've got that 500 kilowatt hour generator. If my batteries are fully topped up and I have nowhere to dump my electrical power, the issue there is that I have nowhere to dump my power. My wheels will just free spin, which could result in a runaway truck or the driver working his foot brake, chewing up his heat for his brake pads. That's not good. We had other ways to deal with that. The Scania, without the engine brake, it would need a resistive load bank, basically a big heat sink. It costs about $15,000 and it takes up a fair bit of room on the truck, and all it does is create heat so that those electric motors. But now, we can go back to the idea which I wanted in the start, is I can apply the load to the generator. That generator on the back of the motor, while it is a generator, we can also make it act like a motor. You can take the electrical power and you can put it in the generator, and it's like a drivetrain. As you're going down the hill and that drivetrain is trying to apply load, the engine brakes fire up and it fights that load and helps the truck hold back. So you actually have the hold back of the X-15 if your batteries are fully charged, which adds on that safety feature, allows us to get rid of the resistive load bank, and just makes it a little bit more efficient all in all. So having the engine brake on the Cummins X-15 is actually one of those advantages over the Scania DC9. One of the advantages of the Cummins X-15 is that commonality of parts between our mechanical and our hybrid trucks now, which means that we still have a lot of people that they want the mechanical truck. They like the 18 speeds. Maybe hybrid doesn't make as much sense for them, or they're just old school and they want a traditional truck built the way we build trucks. That means if we are building trucks in a production line, we only have to have one engine while we're starting out. And that's one of our big goals. Over the next 50, 60 trucks, I would love to see a lot more commonality so we can focus on building the same thing, repeatable. We can order the same parts, have the same inventory. It reduces some of our parts management. It reduces some of our complexity. And if our mechanical and our hybrid are using the same engine, well, that's the same engine mounts, I got the same engine wiring harnesses. I have the same emission system. I have the same exhaust routing system. All of those things, I don't have to order multiple again and again and again of different parts, different things. I can just streamline the production. And as we're placing engines and cross members and frame rails together, it does not matter in the production line what that truck is until it gets to the point where I'm either putting on a generator or a transmission. It really simplifies things, and it simplifies our IQA process. We have to go through the Cummins, what they call the IQA, where they basically make sure that our engine, our radiator, our application is sized for the truck. That, you know, we've got enough cooling on the front end, which I'm not worried about. That's a huge radiator. And that our exhaust system allows the air to flow properly. It's just one quality check to make sure that when we sell it to the customers, that Cummins is going to work for it and not have a bunch of issues due to our design faults. So if we have to go through that once, that's really easy, because I know we're gonna get the questions. Why don't you use like the X10? They make a smaller version of the Cummins. We will get there. I would love to be able to use that smaller version, but it means going through that IQA process again, and it takes a while to go through it. So we'll work on that. We will try and get a smaller on-road Cummins if that's the way we're doing it. Now keep in mind, we still are applying, and that brings us to the next point. What about the Scania? What about the generator use in the future? This is that little bit of unknown. So while we did get the X-15 on highway approved, that means that the smaller engine, we may want to go the way of the smaller X10 Cummins on highway approved. But talking with ECCC, they are still working at looking at getting our generator engine approved, because a generator engine is a little bit more efficient as a generator. After all, it's designed to be a generator. It's not an on-highway that we're adapting the code to make work. So, I don't know. Are we going to go through the IQA process on the on-highway X10, or are we going to take the 9-10 liter generator and repurpose that? That depends on what the future regulation holds. But for now, we have one engine. We can use that across all the trucks for the next year or two. Just streamline that whole production. Fuel usage. We're using a bigger 15-liter engine versus a 9-liter engine. Aren't we going to use more fuel? Not necessarily. Maybe. Depends on your use case. Now, there is times where the math shows that using a bigger engine with bigger displacement and not working it as hard results in better fuel savings than having a smaller engine working flat out. It's all about meeting the average load. It's not like a traditional engine. It's still not revving up and down, shifting gears, boost, full power, trying to get going. It's still going to run at one constant RPM, but instead of running a smaller engine at 90% load, we may be able to run this at 60% load. Or we may fire this up because it has, instead of a 250 kilowatt generator on the back end, it's got a 500 kilowatt generator. So if we did want to run it at full load, it would just shut off sooner. So there are some fuel advantages that come from it. It's not just, okay, we're increasing the fuel. It's a little bit more complex than that, but we don't expect that our fuel difference is going to be that much that you're really going to notice. All in all, there are definitely some advantages and disadvantages to the X-15, but this allows us to make sure that we can meet all of our customers' use cases. We can streamline our production process, and most importantly, it is approved for us to build a hybrid with. That is by far the biggest advantage. So turns out building any hybrid is better than building no hybrid. So I'm excited to use the X-15, and we will keep working towards either a smaller Cummins or trying to get that Scania generator approved for the hybrid. So either way, I'm excited. Those are the big differences between the X-15 versus the Scania. Obviously, we are super, super stoked that we can finally build our hybrid trucks, and we have full permission from Environment Canada to sell it with our national emissions mark, sticker on the door. It's complete. We still, of course, have the Transport Canada testing, but now that we can build the truck, we can put it on our test track, we can do the testing. There's no big regulatory hurdles that we see on that. It's pretty straightforward. It's just a truck, the same way we got to test it. It's great. This is great news all around. I'm stoked, and I want to give a big thanks to everybody at Environment Climate Change Canada, the government that has helped us out. They really have been. And then everyone that reached out to the government, sent the letters, sent the emails, made them pay attention. So it's just big thanks to everyone. This is a huge accomplishment. Cannot understate that.
Absolutely. So if you want to continue to support Edison too, make sure to check out our website. You can invest. Make sure to check out our offering documents and all the documents there. It is quite risky, but thank you so much for your support and getting us to the next stage. We want to buy parts, and we certainly want to get through Transport Canada testing. Thanks so much for your support, everybody. It means a lot.
Let's build some hybrid trucks.
Let's do it, man. Good job.
Man, we white guy the handshakes and high fives
It's
so
great.
much.
Hey, it's how it goes, you know?
I think this may be one of our first videos where we talk about the government and we aren't annoyed.